We are really a collegial, collaborative community.
Self-reflective and responsive.
Supportive and collaborative.
Generous and empathetic.
Lively, vibrant, creative.
Colorado State University and the Communication Studies program specifically is a great place to do graduate work in communication studies. The department hosts 3 graduate degrees. There are 2 master's degrees. One is just a master's in communication studies. The second is a master's in communication studies, deliberative communication, and this is more focused on what we do in the Center for Public Deliberation. And the third is a PhD in communication.
The foundation that the program provides for you to build that sort of dynamic, flexible program or specialization is great. And they allow you to build on it, develop, right, your own kind of interest based on the foundation that they have provided you.
We have a really innovative and flexible curriculum that allows students to take classes in each of our areas of specialty.
Film and Media Studies emphasizes the study of media in their historical, economic, political, and social contexts. So we don't just look closely at film and television shows, video games, songs, and podcasts themselves, although we do that, and that's the exciting part. But we think about these media texts in their broader economic and social contexts.
The way I explain relational and organizational communication is it's all about how human beings interact with other human beings. In terms of how we build and maintain relationships, we look at how humans communicate across difference and how we manage diversity and coming from different backgrounds. And then we also look at how people communicate within and between groups and organizations.
What rhetoric and civic engagement is, it's really focused on students who are interested in thinking about ways to change the world as it relates to public policy, as it relates to identity, as it relates to giving people the tools to build the world that they want to live in.
The thing that attracted me to the MA Communication program at CSU was mostly the pedagogical aspect and the training that I knew I would get.
We have a really hands-on training program to get students ready to teach public speaking.
We focus on what are the things that a brand new instructor needs to know to be successful as a teacher in the classroom before they enter the classroom the very first time.
I really wanted the chance to teach a variety of classes in my interest area and to have a lot of support and mentorship around that, and that's exactly what I got here at CSU.
We really focus on making sure that a passion for teaching is a lifelong thing that our graduate students take with us. And that's, I think, a distinctive value of the department and a distinctive value of the program that's really meaningful for us.
We have an excellent faculty here, and in fact, they're award-winning scholars and teachers.
Our faculty are working on a range of research projects that include globally based research, so studying how streaming platforms like Netflix are trying to take over the world streaming market. We have faculty working on industries-based projects about how labor practices among people who make film and television are changing. They've studied race and representation in reality TV programming, so how and why certain races are privileged above others in certain types of broadcast shows.
We have multiple faculty members who are on large grant-funded projects who bring their students into the fold. A lot of work around support and caregiving. Others are really interested in organizational practices and in particular organizational socialization and how we understand globally what it means to communicate with other people.
There's some really interesting work being done by faculty and grad students around issues of identity and social justice, whether that is thinking about LGBT issues and how those communities have used the past to sort of advocate for social and political change in the present.
We're a great place for the scholarship of space and place. And this is something that we didn't study 10 years ago, 15 years ago, but is really prevalent in our field now because of the work that scholars are doing right here.
We have very intentional mentoring in our program, both one-on-one mentoring with individual faculty advisors and committees, but also some tips and best practices for making that transition either from undergraduate to master's or from master's to PhD.
Faculty also, I think they are intentional about graduate student success.
We mentor and create a culture of collaboration and care and concern where we're all working together, we all have agency around these issues that really matter to us.
My mentors are very hands-on with my thesis project, and we have a very kind of open and communicative relationship.
Not all PhD programs are really focused on getting people to collaborate and come together and think together, and there's not always this level of support from everyone, and I think that's something that we have here.
One of the things that many communication programs are going to say is that they are engaged in the world beyond them. We say that too. I have actual evidence that we do.
So the mission for the Center for Public Deliberation is improving local democracy by equipping our community with tools to have challenging conversations in more meaningful ways. So we give them the tools to speak with one another rather than past one another, think about diverse perspectives, come up with innovative new ideas.
Let me also talk about the ACT Human Rights Film Festival. Film scholars, media scholars, and others of us come together and work with the community to put on films that engage us in questions about human rights, both nationally and globally.
We believe that when you come to our program, we make a commitment to you and your success. And we believe that when each of us succeeds, then that just raises the reputation of the department and improves the things for the whole community.
You should come to CSU for comm studies because of the support that you're going to receive. Your work will be celebrated. It will be given the attention that it needs to make you a better scholar, a better citizen.
The department's absolute strength is the way in which it cares for each other, for the work that we do, and for the world we live in.
If you want to build a place to start, and if you want to build on something, this is the place for you.
Hi, I'm Christina Lee. I'm a third-year PhD student. I've also got my master's here, so I've been here for a while. I specifically study the intersection of religion and politics with a particular interest in the marginalization of atheists in the United States.
My name's Mitch. I'm also a third-year PhD student, and I study the intersection of rhetoric and media as it pertains to food. So anything from different types of food social movements, anything from different types of food systems like food deserts, different types of trade exchanges that are going on with different food commodities. How are those building communities, and how are people creating dialogue around food to create more sustainable communities?
I'm Olivia. I'm a first-year master's student, and I'm still kind of trying to figure out what it is exactly I want to study, but right now I'm enjoying caregiver communication and health communication and identity overall. So.
I'm Jordan. I'm a fourth-year PhD student. I also got my master's here. I study rhetoric of space and place, in particular how my dissertation's on how urban spaces are developed through rhetoric, looking at Denver as a city.
So if I were to give anyone advice about, applying or things that I would have known before I came into the program, reach out to people, start a dialogue, start a community, because people are really wanting to do that, especially in the COVID era that we are now. That communication and that sustainable communication is really what really drives us.
I didn't really necessarily think about what the day-to-day academic life would be like. So having the opportunity to see if you can sit in on a class or just asking people kind of what is the average day for a grad student like, because it definitely was not really what I expected, and it's turned out great, but I think that would have been a good thing for me to ask in hindsight.
For MA, I think understanding what the identity of the department is. So like, is this a really academically focused department? Is it a very public facing focused department? Is it a more, private sector job afterwards department? And so really kind of seeing what that identity of the department is before deciding what MA you want to get. For PhD, I think really getting a good sense of like, what is the funding practices for grad students, and then what kind of opportunities besides just teaching public speaking does the department offer.
And then a little bit about like what to expect, like the norm and the community of the cohort is. It didn't really occur to me like how many people were in a cohort or what that community was like or what it wasn't like. I was just looking at, the school and the programs and the professors, not so much who else would be coming to classes with me. So talking to like current students or trying to figure out what that dynamic is a little bit, I think would have been a benefit as well.
There's not a whole lot of divide between, PhD and MA. We don't really create that hierarchy in our environment. MAs have as much to offer as PhD students, and especially from both a pedagogy standpoint and a research standpoint. So I think not just what CSU has set up, but the students within that culture have really made it to everybody has something valuable to offer.
Especially with COVID going on right now, but we've always had this of having like a Facebook group that we can kind of check in with each other, be like, ask questions. I think there's also one specifically for the public speaking class now, which I think is really helpful.
The benefit of CSU being a pretty strong community is that we have been able to like build our lives together. For the public speaking final, we used to like dress up in Hawaiian shirts or ugly Christmas sweaters. So like just kind of small things to make sure that we're not kind of toppled over by grad school. And instead we build it together to be a fun and collaborative community, which I think is wonderful and something that might be unique to CSU, that we're all kind of in it together, and there's never really competition. It's all collaboration. How do we build each other up?
One of the great things about CSU, at least I think, is that you do get to take classes in all areas, in media, organ relational, and rhetoric. And especially for master's students, I think it's really great to get those different perspectives. And you certainly will find like, hey, this is not my thing. That's definitely fine, but at least you've been exposed to it and you at least can then understand your colleagues' work better.
But I didn't realize how many opportunities I would get to travel. We often come in with our different individual research identities, but when you go to a conference and start going to panels that you're interested in, or finding out research that people are also creating, you're creating your own community beyond the CSU community too. And I think the program really sets you up in a great way to do that.
And as you know, the PhD program throughout, I've been given opportunities to teach my own courses and to like build my own courses, to do field trips with students. And so just kind of the responsibility that they give you and the trust that they give you to be in a classroom and the preparation that we have for doing that well was unexpected and something that has definitely changed what I want to do with my life.
Perhaps I think one of the most unique classes that I really appreciate that CSU has is the academic writing class, where for PhD students, you can take a paper that you've done in a class, and then you basically spend the entire class editing it, and then at the end, you need to submit it to a journal.
Two things. First of all, like, get to know your cohort. Like I know we have like a group text going, and we'll try and like meet up like virtually or at a distance, like once every week or two, just so that way you kind of keep that community going and that you get to know the folks you're going to be with for the next like 2 years in MA or more in PhD. And then also when you're looking for programs as well, take like a day or more. This wasn't as relevant to me because I got my undergrad at CSU, but take a day or more to kind of look around the town and what's around off campus. Like look out for like what coffee shops can we go to study, what places look like they would be enjoyable to spend like a weekend at or whatnot. Just like don't feel like you're confined to only staying on campus, and make sure that you fit in with like the community outside the school as well, just so you have that broader network to work with.
For PhD and MA, I think finding a community, like really when you go on your visit, see how people are interacting with each other and making sure that you're going to be happy with the people that are around you, and the people that are around you are invested in your success and that you're invested in theirs. I think that's something that makes graduate school not only like, tolerable, but actually and fun and can help you with your passions and everything like that.
You're smart and you're articulate and you know what you're doing. So have a lot of that trust in yourself and really be confident with what you want to express at both the MA and PhD level. Really express your identity, be open to it. And my best advice is create a dialogue and keep that dialogue going and be open to what and how you can grow as a graduate student.